shake the matrix, expand our minds, and of course, do what I like to do, and that's make us all think. So, this morning, I'm sharing with you something that transformed my life, to be honest. Um, yeah, to the core. People who knew me in Canada before would know me as someone who was always known in the room because I was the loudest. And people who know me here, usually they would go look for me and they would find me under a tree, being quiet. And they know that I'm usually the quiet one, but when I speak wisdom. And when we're having a good time with my friends, we all have a good time. But silence is something that changed my life. So, from the moment we're born, this world, it keeps telling us to be, you know, we are taught, they tell us how to be, where to be, what to be. We're taught to seek approval and from teachers, parents, pastors, peers, and systems. We internalize that being good means being quiet, pleasing, and productive. This trains the mind to chase worth externally instead of cultivating it internally, instead of realizing the value we've always had in health. The brain part, particularly the amygdala, becomes overactive in response to perceived rejection. Rejection was something I knew well. And we are neurologically wired to equate disapproval with danger. So I always felt danger. Didn't feel safe. Was always looking for somewhere safe. It made sense when I started researching and learning about our brain and how it works. And I started realizing as I was digging into old ancient texts, this is ancient programming from tribal survival instincts. But the modern life, it traps us in a false self. And then we go for the external to somehow bring peace to the internal, and yet we completely go around saying, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Meanwhile, the entire time it's been right there in the mirror, right in front of you. Carl Jung called this a persona, a mask we wear to function in society. But over time, the mask just ends up sticking, and we forget who we are beneath it. We are not lost, we are covered. When life breaks down through illness, betrayal, loss, or solitude, it is not punishment, it is an invitation. You see, we stop seeking outside of ourselves and we begin to ask. And I'll tell you, when we begin to ask is when we begin to transform. And there I was, I'll never forget it, in the middle of nowhere in the desert. I was sitting there meditating, and I had been going through losing everything, all friends, everything, because I finally spoke, and I was on this journey, and there I was, and I didn't even know that here I was in the middle of nowhere, that there's some hermit living way out there, and I hear, well, this one can stay. Because I was quiet, and I was sitting there just meditating, and these animals and deers were coming all around me as I was in this place. And I just stopped, and I stopped seeking outside because there was nothing outside to seek. I stopped seeking outside for this approval, and I had to begin to ask myself the questions, who am I when no one is even watching? Hi everybody, welcome, thank you for joining. What if I no longer perform? What does my soul need? And I realized I didn't know myself. These are the questions that unraveled the matrix and began to unravel who I was as a person. It made me realize that I was seeking and performing and looking for approval in humanity when it was never there for me to ever receive, and I never was going to. It was right there in the mirror. In silence, the default mode, the network, the DMN, That activates the region, supports the self-reflection and memory, integrates an insight. It's where transformation begins. Silence also shifts the body into parasympathetic nervous system dominance, where healing and neuroplasticity occurs. It's where you transform your DNA. That's why in deep silence, people report vision, clarity, epiphanies, and peace. Because the rat race stopped running. We allowed the spinning brain to be heard. The body could go, ah. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. That's in the Gospel of Thomas, if anyone wants to know where that came from. But they understood this world as an illusion, a construct run by archons, lower energies to keep us asleep by focusing outward. Silence is how we exit the simulation, people. See, in silence, glad you guys are all here. We begin to repair, repair ourselves, and we stop asking, what do others want from me? And start asking, what do I need to feel whole? And this is where self-care begins, not bubble baths and candles, but radical honesty and boundary setting. Self-alignment heals attachment trauma by creating safety within the self. See, we're not allowing our own selves to feel safe within our own selves because we don't give it the time of day. See, this is where secure attachment and self-development happens. We become our own safe space, and then we stop needing to perform. And then you stop explaining yourself. Oh my God. I was always talking because I was always explaining myself. How many of you gone through that? Hi, everybody. Hi, Marcus. Hey, Bread7. So you stop explaining yourself. Peace comes. Not because you're cold, but because your existing no longer requires you permission. I used to have the people all the time tell me, just be, Ariel, just be. But yet I'm sitting there going, what are you talking about? You're performing all the time. You don't even know how to be. They were just mirroring what they needed to do. I mean, I did too. But they themselves didn't even get there. But I tell you, wow. Being is fucking amazing. See, you emit an electromagnetic field measurable to 8 feet from your heart. Now, I can actually shoot it further. This field responds to your emotions and coherence. When you're aligned, your field becomes a resonant signal. Others sense it. What changed rooms without saying a word? Oh yeah, dude, I've seen it. I was sitting there one time, I got invited to my friend's house for dinner, and this guy was there, and he's just ignorant and makes the most non-necessary comments and makes the room feel uncomfortable non-stop. And so I have a habit of bringing peace into a room, and I can push it out. And when I push it out, I can make things fall asleep. My friend's cooking. And he's like me. He can do this. And he's shaking his head because he's listening to the conversation. This guy won't shut up. Next thing you know, the room's quiet. And he peeks over. He realizes the guy's just passed right out. Before he wakes the guy, he says to me when dinner's ready, he goes, dinner's ready, and thank you for doing that. I looked over and smiled and said, thank you for noticing that I did that. He said, you pushed that piece right out there to the point the man passed right out. So I was ready to just duct tape his mouth at that point. But silence came. But that's what you can do. You can transform a room. You know, through mirror neurons, others literally begin to match your emotional state. In this co-regulation, you become a tuning fork. Your peace isn't passive, it's activation to others. So when you align with your inner being, you stop defending your path. You stop apologizing for your truth. And you stop needing people to even get it. It don't matter to you. And in the silence, people begin to listen more because your energy speaks louder than words. Don't try to be understood. That's the biggest mistake. I made that mistake the other day. Now, don't get me wrong. I still make these mistakes. I tell you, family's a really good one to disturb your peace. Shake you a little bit. But it was only for a brief moment. So don't try to be understood. This is where leadership is born, not in the ego, but in the embodied remembrance. And at the deepest level, self-alignment is sacred. In union, the reunion of your divine feminine and divine masculine energies. Your inner feminine listens, feels, nurtures. Your inner masculine protects, acts, and grounds. And this harmony is what mystics called the Hurons, Gamos, the inner marriage. And once you experience it, you no longer search for completion. You have it. You don't look for it in another. You become the beloved, and you were the one you were waiting for. And I had someone who tried to date me, and they said, well, you just love yourself, so you don't have any room. That's not a bad thing. It's not that I don't have room. I already am loved. I'm not looking for love. I feel completely loved. But the thing that's beautiful is that when you meet someone who's in the same place, you don't need each other to feel loved. You now are complementing each other, and you're enjoying one another because you are everything you needed. So you're whole. So now you can have a healthy relationship. See, this world taught you to be loud and pleasing and constantly available, but your soul whispers, go silent, go inward, go true. Because in that silence, you don't find just yourself, you find God within you. You become the remembrance the world forgot, and you are not broken. The system is, and now you remember your power was never out there. It was always right here, within your own self. So make sure you do one thing towards your dreams every single day, because it brings you one step closer. And make sure you recognize you're valuable and you matter. You're all these unique puzzle pieces, a part of the ultimate puzzle of the cosmos. Hang in there. All right? Enjoy the silence. It's okay. Peace. Be still.